Welcome to Notes from the Edge, where we have the conversations we should have been having all along. We talk about the things that we're not talking about. I'm your host, Lisa Lacey, writer, trauma educator, executive advisor, and author of the upcoming memoir, Notes from a Certified Mad Woman. Welcome to the Edge. Welcome to Midnight Menopausal Meanderings, where the hour is unreasonable, the dogs are unapologetic, and my nervous system has apparently scheduled an emergency board meeting. Tonight, I am the woman who wakes at midnight telling the truth. This is about menopause, insomnia, and the disappearing bullshit filter, because I was asleep and our big dog came running into the room, sounding like an elephant. Now here I am, wide awake, because at this stage of life, sleep is not really sleep anymore. It's more like a freaking hostage negotiation. You get into bed, you make your demands. I would like 7 uninterrupted hours, and your body responds. The best I can do is 90 minutes, a hot flash, one trip to the bathroom, a detailed psychological review of everything you've done wrong since you were 10 years old. And once I'm awake, now I am up. My body may be exhausted, but my brain is suddenly opening 17 tabs at once. Did I answer that email? What did that woman say in that thing 20 years ago? Should I completely restructure my business? Is the dog breathing normally? Am I breathing normally? Why am I still accommodating people I don't even like? What is my purpose on this planet? And there's always a song in there somewhere. And that is what I want to talk about tonight. Because the woman who wakes up at midnight is often telling the truth. During the day, we have masks on, we have responsibilities, clients, families, laundries, meetings, messages, makeup, schedules, and 1,000 small performances that keep our lives moving. But at midnight, the performance, well, it actually isn't necessary because there's no audience to manage. There's no professional face to put on. It's just you, your body, and every truth you manage to outrun during the day. And then menopause adds another layer because menopause does not simply change your reproductive system. It changes the relationship between your hormones, your brain, your temperature regulation, your nervous system, and your sleep. And this is not suddenly becoming undisciplined. You are not failing at bedtime. You are not faltering at sleep. And it's not because you looked at your stupid phone for 4 minutes after dinner before bedtime. Ugh, how annoying is that? Women experiencing the menopausal transition commonly report difficulty falling asleep, waking repeatedly, and then waking up too early and not being able to fall asleep once they're up. Studies and clinical reviews, which are finally being done, thank you, gentlemen, estimate that sleep disturbances affect a substantial portion of women during perimenopause and menopause, with difficulty staying asleep being very common. So, let us begin with the biology of what's really happening. Your ovaries and your brain have always been in a conversation. And most people were taught that estrogen was reproductive hormones only, that it helps periods helps you become pregnant, grow breasts, end of lesson, that's it. But estrogen and progesterone have receptors and affect through the entire body, including the brain. They interact with systems involved in temperature regulation, mood, cognition, stress response, and sleep. So during menopause, estrogen does not simply drift peacefully downward. It can fluctuate dramatically. Some days it rises, some days it drops. Ovulation becomes less predictable, which also means progesterone production becomes less predictable. And for some women, this transition happens over years. Some, like myself, enter menopause surgically. And the hormones can change overnight. and symptoms may be very, very intense. There are over 100 symptoms related to menopause, and this has been my experience. My body did not receive a beautifully written farewell letter to my ovaries. There was no gradual retirement ceremony. There was a complete eviction overnight. One moment I was on the operating table, and then suddenly the rhythm changed. And nobody explained that my brain would be involved. And I have a history of mental illness, and I had reached a stage of many, many years of stabilization. Progesterone and one of its metabolites interact with the brain's GABA system. GABA is one of the brain's primary calming and inhibitor messengers. It helps turn down neural activity. And so, this is why progesterone related pathways are associated with sedation, relaxation, and sleep. When progesterone becomes irregular or disappears, some women describe feeling as though the internal brakes are not working the way they once did. Now, the science is more complicated than low progesterone equals no sleep, but changes in the system can contribute to sleep and mood vulnerability. Estrogen also interacts with the neurotransmitter systems involving serotonin, norepinephrine, and many other chemicals that participate in mood, arousal, and sleep regulation. So, when the hormonal environment becomes less predictable, the brain may be less predictable too. Go figure. You may feel tired but activated. You may feel emotionally raw but unable to cry. You may desperately want sleep while your nervous system behaves as though someone has released a bear in the bedroom or an elephant. Then there's the internal thermostat from hell. One of the most fascinating parts of menopausal biology involves the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is a tiny area of the brain that helps regulate temperature, hunger, stress, again, stress hormones, and sleep wake rhythms. Within this system are estrogen sensitive neurons, often referred to as KNDY neurons. As estrogen changes, these neurons can become dysregulated, affecting the body's temperature control system. The comfortable temperature range your body tolerates may become much more narrow. A tiny change that your body once ignored can now trigger a full emergency response. Blood vessels dilate, great for my congenital blood disorder. Heart rate rises, heat rises to the chest and face. You may sweat. Then the body cools down, sometimes leaving you cold and damp. Even when you do not consciously remember having a night sweat, your brain may have been pulled toward wakefulness. Vasomotor symptoms such as hot flashes and night sweats are strongly connected with sleep disruption, although menopause-related insomnia can happen without those hot flashes as well. This is why telling menopausal women to just relax is so profoundly unhelpful. Our bodies may be performing involuntary climate change at 2 in the morning. So we're lying there with one foot outside the covers, one foot inside the covers, pajamas stuck to our backs, and our partner sleeping peacefully like a sedated farm animal. That's so hard to watch. I don't need a lavender candle. I need the medical establishment to admit that something significant is happening, warn us ahead of time, and give us more tools to cope. By the way, guys, with my congenital blood disorder, I am not eligible for proper treatment. One awakening can turn into a full nervous system event. A hot flash wakes you, pain wakes you. Oh, the pain in my body now. The dog wakes you. You need to go to the bathroom and can't get back to sleep. And sometimes nothing happens. You just wake up repeatedly. And the brain can begin to learn that nighttime is a time for vigilance. So the bed stops being associated with sleep and becomes associated with effort. You lie down and immediately start monitoring yourself. Am I falling asleep? Why am I not asleep? How many hours left? I've only got 4 left. I've only got 3 left, 2 left. Tomorrow is ruined. Nothing makes sleep flee the building faster than desperately trying to force it to happen. This is how biological awakenings can become conditional arousal. The body wakes for one reason, then the mind keeps the meeting going, and the meeting has no agenda, no minutes, and no qualified leadership. Now, let us discuss the title of this one, which is The Disappearing Bullshit Filter. I have heard countless women say some version of this. I used to be able to let things go. I used to be more patient. I used to tolerate this. I don't know why everything irritates me. I feel like I've lost my filter. Here's the important scientific distinction. Now listen, there is no hormone called the bullshit tolerance hormone, sadly. We cannot order a blood test and discover that our bullshit tolerance is at a clinically dangerous level of 2. Menopause does not inevitably turn every woman into an irritable person, but research on irritability during the menopause transition is mixed. Hormonal variability may contribute to mood vulnerability in some women, while perceived stress, previous premenstrual symptoms, depression history, physical symptoms, previous mental illness, or life circumstances matter tremendously. In a long-term study, stress and previous PMS were more strongly connected with irritability than the menopausal stage itself. But there is another biological player here: sleep deprivation. When we do not sleep adequately, the brain's emotional system does not function exactly as it does when we're rested. Research has found that sleep loss can weaken communication between the prefrontal regions involved in judgment and regulation and the brain's more active emotional regions, the amygdala. In plain language, the part of your brain that says, hey, let's respond thoughtfully, may have less influence over the part that says, I've had enough of this shit. You have not necessarily become more irrational. You may have less available neurological energy for suppression, diplomacy, and emotional performance. Every time you pretend not to be offended, you use energy. Every time you smile while somebody interrupts you, you use energy. Every time you soften your language so another adult does not have to experience discomfort, you use energy. And every time you say, it's fine, I'm fine, when it absolutely is not and you are not, you use energy. When you are well rested, regulated, and adequately resourced, you may have enough bandwidth to manage that. When you are surviving unfragmented sleep while your hormonal and temperature regulation systems are remodeling themselves, you may no longer have the amount of spare capacity. The filter may be gone, or it may not. The unpaid staff responsible for operating the filter may have just walked out for a minute. Menopause may reveal what exhaustion used to conceal, and this is where biology meets your biography. Because menopause often arrives during a brutally demanding stage of life. You may be caring for aging parents, parenting teenagers, or supporting adult children. You may be at the highest pressure point of your career. You may be facing health challenges like myself, financial changes, grief, divorce, caregiving, or the realization that you have spent decades building a life around performance and everyone else's comfort. And then your sleep goes. So your nervous system becomes reactive and your energy becomes a precious, valuable resource that not everybody gets access to. And suddenly, understandably, you are less willing to spend that precious energy pretending or performing. That does not mean every midnight thought is a sacred truth. Sometimes you just have an overtired brain wearing a tiny detective hat. Not every suspicion requires action. Not every relationship needs to end before breakfast. And not every business needs to be burned down at 3:30 a.m. Do not send the email. Write the email, save the email, or revisit it after coffee and daylight. But underneath the sleep-deprived intensity, there may be some data worth noticing. Why does this situation repeatedly activate you? Why are you resentful? Are you overcommitted? And who's been benefiting from your silence? And why are you agreeing to that body, to what your body is clearly rejecting? What are you performing? Are you performing competence? Are you performing calm while you do not feel safe, while you are quietly falling apart? What are you tolerating just to be agreeable? These questions are not evidence that you are losing your mind. You are not crazy. They just may be evidence of your body talking to you, screaming at you, asking you to finally listen. And maybe your body's no longer willing to finance the performance. The woman at midnight has stopped managing the room and everybody else. During the day, women are often incredibly skilled at managing the emotional temperature of every room they enter. Who feels left out? How do we soften the truth? Anticipate needs, manage schedules, translate one adult's feelings for another adult, hold families, companies, communities, friendships together. Then menopausal midnight arrives, and there's no one to manage. You're just stuck with the truth. I am tired. I am lonely. I am angry. I do not want to keep doing this. I want something different. Where did I go? I've been giving people access to me and they have not earned it. I confused being needed with being loved. I have mistaken endurance for purpose. I have performed strength for so long that I do not know what support or help feels like. That is the woman who wakes at midnight. Now, she may be overheated. She may be hormonally disoriented and she may be sleep deprived, but she also may be the least edited version of herself. So, what do? We stop shaming ourselves. We stop telling ourselves we're weak, lazy, dramatic, unstable, or failing because we cannot sleep the way we once did. Our biology has changed, our sleep architecture may be changing, and our temperature regulation changed. Our stress response certainly changed, and our bodies are not betraying us. They're communicating, and sometimes like smoke alarms with a dying battery. So listen, don't turn the bed into a courtroom. You don't have to prosecute yourself for being awake. You can notice what's happening. My body is activated. My brain is searching for threats. I'm having thoughts because I'm awake. I'm not necessarily awake because every thought is an emergency. And that distinction matters. We can capture the truth without acting on it. Keep a notebook nearby. Write one sentence. The truth that keeps visiting me is, and then finish it without editing yourself. Maybe the answer is you need help. You are grieving. You're angry at your body. You do not trust some person in your life. You want to create something new. You want to stop abandoning yourself, or you're ready for a different life. You can honor the message without making a life-altering decision in the dark by yourself. And persistent insomnia deserves real attention. It can overlap with hot flashes, anxiety, depression, pain, medication effects, restless legs, or sleep apnea. Menopausal women can have sleep apnea even when they do not match the stereotype people associated with. Chronic sleep disruption is not something women should simply be expected to endure. We deserve evaluation, treatment options, physicians who understand that sleep is not a luxury or a character test, and we deserve more than being told to drink tea and turn our phones off. We are going through an entire neuroendocrine system renovation. So tonight, Bunky, our dog, woke me up. And then menopause made sure I stayed awake. And somewhere between the stuffy room, the restless body, and my brain that wouldn't shut down, a truth walked into the room. Maybe menopause does not remove our filter for bullshit. Maybe exhaustion just makes it harder to maintain the filter. Maybe hormonal changes make us more aware of what our bodies have been carrying. Or maybe age gives us enough pattern recognition to finally name what we are seeing. Perhaps limited energy forces us to become more selective about where we spend it. So maybe the woman who wakes at midnight is not broken. Maybe she is no longer sufficiently sedated by obligation, politeness, productivity, and performance. Maybe she's alone enough to hear herself and listen. So don't send any emails tonight, but listen to yourself. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're overheated. Maybe you're irritated because the biggest dog you have destroyed the entire night. But underneath all of that, you're probably telling the truth to yourself. Now, are you going to tell the truth to other people? You get to decide that. It's your choice. This has been Midnight Menopausal Meanderings, where sleep is scarce, the filters are thin, and apparently the conversations we should have been having all along sometimes begin at 3 in the morning. Welcome to the edge.